Hello, Crystal. How are you?
Hey, Jevon, how are you?
I am great. Good to see you again after the long holiday and our shall we say hiatus.
Yeah,
Good to be back in the chair.
we're back in the chair to talk about conversations and close out this year.
That's
It's
right.
amazing that we are already at the end of 2023.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to be rich by now. I do not know what happened to the year.
Yeah, well, I think it sped up so fast that it was on lightning speed. So you might have just kind of missed that ring that was hanging there. It might have been going so fast that
Yeah,
weren't able to grab it. So
maybe,
maybe
maybe.
maybe it'll slow down for 2024 and you'll grab it then.
There you go. There you go. Praying for 24. And it's interesting that you say that because that's exactly what we're going to talk about is, you know, is it too late for 23? Um, because a lot of people are thinking that it is. So I tell you what, we're going to talk about that from the perspective of an employer, a participant, and a retiree. And how about first, if I read your bio, and then we can jump into that.
Sounds good to me.
All right, here we go. Well, hello, everyone. Please help me welcome my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, a co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College and a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, as well as being a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hello, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I am good and as always happy to be here. So
Cool.
and ready to talk about this conversation because everyone always should be focused on what we need to do to close out one year and be
Mhm.
ready for the next year. So it's very important that we plan for the next year as well. So
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
cool. Okay, so let's just kick it right off. First, from the perspective of an employer, many people think that, oh, we're down here at the beginning of December. It's pretty much over with regard to making contributions, making changes to your plan, starting a plan. And nothing could be further from the truth. The CARES Act and the Secure Act together have, number one, extended deadlines so that we don't have to get things done exactly like we used to back in the day. So there was a time when you had to have that plan established by 12/31 in order to make contributions or to make withdrawals to the plan, if I can put it that way. So contributions from your paycheck, or your employer could make contributions to your profit sharing plan, or an employer could create that profit sharing plan, and then they would have some time, their tax filing deadline, actually to fund the profit sharing plan. So that's changed a little bit. The IRS has always been a little bit, uh, let's say, less than heavy on that 12/31 date because they realize that some people's paychecks are not going to be over within 12/30 by 12/31, right? So you've always had a couple of days of grace to make that employee contribution. But if we stick back to the employer thing for right now, um, since the Secure Act and the CARES Act, um, you have actually until for single sole providers, for example, sole owners of plans, you have until March 15th, or in some cases April 15th, and then some cases even your tax filing deadline, in order to make a profit sharing plan or a 401k plan for 2023. So we have some time. We don't have to jam it in. The best thing to do would be to actually call up someone like myself, a financial advisor, and what we call a third party administrator, since they're actually going to make the document. So you've got some leeway. You've got a couple of months in order to actually set up a plan and and fund the plan for 2023. So that's some good news for a lot of folks there who are thinking, oh, either I pay myself or I pay the government, right?
Mm.
When it comes to taxes. And just a quick note about that, we're working on a plan now, and the CPA is saying, it's not going to do you very much good to start the plan in 2023 since you're not able to do safe harbor. You may as well wait till 2024 to start the plan. As an advisor, I'm saying, well, you got to pay. Either you're going to pay the government or you're going to pay your employees. So I would say pay your employees and yourself, right? You can put your money in that profit sharing plan. You don't need to fund it until your tax filing deadline. Let's call that April 15th, at the earliest March 15th, depending on what kind of entity you have. Let's go ahead, start that plan, make that 2023 contribution that can be pre-tax, write that off, save some money. I love the idea of funding the government, but that doesn't mean everybody has to make the boat payment, right? You can give your employees some money, right? And start your own retirement savings that way. So for an employer, recognize that, okay, we've got some time here, few months, in order to start that profit sharing plan, 401k plan for 2023. So let's not panic, right?
Right.
We want to keep that in mind.
That's awesome because that is a confusion. In fact, I had a client, and she's a small sole proprietor, single partner person, and so that's one of the things that she was, concerned about. Probably making more money than she did last year, which is great because that was our goal for this year.
There you go.
But of course, it's so interesting with my clientele. They're always very concerned about paying taxes, after they made, some profit. And I was like, okay, but you do know the goal of running a business is to make a profit. Now you have to plan. I mean, you're going to pay some taxes. That's just the way it's designed, right? But you can do some, you can plan, you can, set up your IRA and your Roth or whatever, and then you can divert some of that. And so she's like, oh, I said, so you just need to talk to someone and, see what that's going to look like before you already project it out for next year, because you don't really know that yet, because you don't know what your deductions are until you finalize December. But planning. She's young enough where she really should be looking to plan for her future. And she's an individual. She's in the cosmetology industry. And so most of those have not worked for anyone before. So, their retirement is very suspect on if they can even retire. They've never put anything into a system.
Right, I hear you. That is the deal, right? They're like, so many people would say that their job is their retirement. And I think I told you that story about the lady that was just trying to die on the job because she didn't have any retirement left,
Yeah.
Funny.
Because you don't think about that, right? You really, truly don't think about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
okay. So when it comes to the employer, we've got some time. We've got until our tax filing deadline, depending on our entity, to actually establish a retirement plan for 2023. Okay, so what if you are an employee? What are you going to do? All right, so now if you're an employee, 1231 is pretty much it, right? I mean, that's it. 1231. If you're going to make contributions for 2023, it has to at least come from that paycheck that you got in 2023, right? So you don't have a whole lot of leeway, maybe a week or so, depending on what your pay schedule is, right? If you make money in 2023 and your final paycheck doesn't come until the 10th of 2024, well, we can still count that money, right? But what if you need to put some more in? What if you're in that position? Right? So the thing I would do is connect with your HR person and explain to them, okay, for this last paycheck, I want to put 80% of it in or whatever it is. You can sometimes make that change. And then you got to remember that come next year, we got to go back to where we were, or you're going to have a tough time paying those bills. But I do know
Mhm.
lots of participants in retirement plans. For that last paycheck, they really want to goose how much they're putting into their retirement plan. They've got
Mm.
some extra money, or they have a bonus, or whatever it was. And so you want to contact that HR person, make sure that for that last check that they make a change, and then make sure that you have in the plan with your HR person. And I would do it with your HR person with an email, so you have a record. Okay,
Mm.
this paycheck I want to do X, this next paycheck I want to do Y, and get back to where you were. Most HR folks that I know of will work with you for that. They'll work with the payroll group to make sure that happens. And so it's not a problem as long as they know it's coming. The problem comes when it's 2024 and you say to the HR person that I meant to do XYZ and I didn't tell you about it. Or
Mm.
it's 2024, we made the change, but I didn't want to make that change for two pay periods in 24. What do I do? Well, okay, now your money's already in the plan, and now we got to go through taking that money out, paying the taxes and the penalties and the da da da. It's don't be that guy.
Right,
Just
exactly. Right. Again, it's always about having information and knowing what your choices and your options are. And
yeah.
not I know you hear this because you've been in this business for a while, just like I have. So many people have knowledge and information that dates back to, I don't know, before time, and they don't realize that this is it may not be relevant today. It was relevant based upon what was happening then. And that
Crystal, you
news
are so kind. That's a lovely way to put it. It's a
that
lovely way to put you have not kept yourself up with the deal. So no, we're not doing that anymore.
right,
Yes. Yeah.
that some of the
This is the
knowledge might
flintstone.
be outdated. The
Yeah.
shelf life has ended for that particular advice.
Well said. Well said.
And so you just need to know what is currently going on and
Right.
ask somebody. And nowadays it's so much easier to find information than it used to be.
It really is. I think it's easier if you know which questions to ask, but I think you're
Yes.
spot on. I think it is everything's out there on the internet.
Hmm.
Now, the terminology guide, that may not be out there. A
Right.
client of mine called me a few days ago and said, I want to change my profit sharing plan. And I said, you don't have a profit sharing plan. What are you actually wanting to do here? Right. And I said, oh, after he told me, I thought, okay, let's get the terminology right. So we know that when we make this change, we're actually doing what you want to do. Well, I just want to, change it from this percent to this percent. Oh, okay. So that's not your profit sharing. That's your match. So, okay,
Yeah,
let's
right.
get that
And
terminology
I
right.
guess we make assumptions that people are as knowledgeable as we are, so we have
Yeah.
to inform. And which is why we're having conversations on the patio, right? Because
Right.
we have to inform people and bring them current with up to date information so that they
I
can
do.
make better
And
decisions.
I think we have one more to go through, but I think you're making an excellent point. I, as an advisor, have no problem with someone asking me, "Hey, my advisor said this. Does that something that sounds right to you?" Because we
Mhm.
do sometimes have holes in our knowledge, right? And I have no problem if someone says to me, Jevon, uh, I was talking to my guy Bill about what you said, and he said I should ask you these questions to make sure we're clear on that. I have no problem with that. No problem with that at all. Because, as you
Mhm.
said, you know, um, some of that information, although given with a kind heart, could be a little bit out of date. Um, so don't ever feel like you're going to hurt someone's feelings. I wouldn't if I were a client, that you're going to hurt someone's feelings if you get a second opinion. That's always a good thing to do. You do it with your doctor, you may as well do it with your financial advisor as well.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I was being kind, but and that applies to all things
It does. It
that
really does.
relates to business and just the people in general and
Yeah.
decisions that they make. They've
Well
had
said.
some information that someone told them long
Yes.
time ago, and
Yeah.
they
Because
still
the
think
rules
it's
change.
prevalent. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the retirees.
Okay.
What about them? Okay. So I think for the retirees that I deal with, the worst thing is that required minimum distribution. That's the that's the bailiwick there. So if you've started that required minimum distribution as you're over the age of 73 and you're starting to take those required minimum distributions, they are annual, right? They're not your birthday. 12/31 is the day. So if I were someone that was retired, I would make sure that they connect with their provider or the person that has their monies, be that the retirement plan company, the IRA company, whoever you get your statements from, connect with them and make sure they have on record that you took your required minimum distribution for the year. Just make sure that it's done. Or take that required minimum distribution before the end of the year because you don't have the next year to do that, if that makes sense. You only got up until 12/31 to get that done. So I would do that. And also remember that if you are a retired person, or shall I say, if you're old enough to be a retired person, but you're still working for the same company that has your 401k or has your 403b, let's say you're a college professor or you work at a university or you work at a business or what have you, uh, you don't have to take a required minimum distribution from the 401k or the 403b that belongs to the institution where you are. This gets people tricked up. So, for example, um, I often talk with clients who have retirement plans at various different places around the country. You know, they have one from one job they have one from an IRA, and they have one from a different job. Maybe they start an IRA, so they may have 4 or 5 different accounts that they have money at. Okay, and now that they're in their 70s and they're taking their required minimum distribution, do they have to take a required minimum distribution from all those accounts? Kinda. Do they need to make sure that they're taking the required minimum distribution? Yes, the penalties have gotten less, but they haven't gone away. So we want to make sure of that. So how do we make that happen? Well, the IRS just wants you to take your minimum distribution. That's it. So, and forgive me, I'm bouncing around here, but we'll get back to the first point in a minute. But so they just want you to take that required minimum distribution. So let's say that your total required minimum distribution out of all of your accounts is $10,000. Let's just say that. If you have that $10,000 in one account and you want to take it out from there, that's fine. You can do that. You've satisfied the required minimum distribution. That's it. That's cool. You don't have to take it out of all of them. You can take it out of one. If you're still working, though, at the institution that you have a retirement plan at, so let's say you're working for Bob's Car Wash and you have a 401k at Bob's Car Wash, and you're at the age of 75 and you have the opportunity to take a required minimum distribution, the company that you're working with, their financial institution, the we call that the vendor, that company, the record keeper, that company, they're telling you, hey, you need to take a required minimum distribution. Well, you don't have to from that company as long as you're working there. So what many of the folks that I know do is they take all of their 401ks and their 403bs and their IRAs and they roll them all over into that one company's 401k. They continue working there and then they can avoid taking the required minimum distribution. Does that make sense? So yeah, so we got
Yes.
two things going on there. So one, you can take it all out of one place. And two, if you're still working, You don't have to take it out of the place where you're working, so you can move all of them into there,
Okay.
and
And
and you can
consolidate them.
yes, that's the word I'm looking for. You can consolidate.
Consolidate them.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a technical term. Yeah, consolidate. So you can do that. Now the tax used to be 50%. Ugh. It's not that. It's not quite that bad anymore. But there still is I'm sorry. The penalty used to be 50%.
50%.
Yeah, but it's not that anymore. It's not as bad as that. But
Okay.
it ain't pretty. It's still money you have to give up. So yeah. So don't let that catch you. And you got to do that before 12/31. And if you're going to do that rollover, you need to do that before 12/31 as well. So
Okay. So they got a couple weeks to make that happen.
yeah, and
Now, do they need to speak with their advisors?
it's always good to speak with your advisor, but not say hey or something. It's pretty simple. Um, Depending on your situation, I can't imagine an advisor saying that you shouldn't do that, but depending on your situation, I would ask them how easy it is. It's usually pretty easy, but we're at the point at the time now where, man, if you're going to do a rollover, those take 6 to 8 weeks. That's going to be tough. And then you're stuck. You're going to be stuck. You're going to have to pay. So this isn't the time to consider rolling those assets over because it's going to take a while, right? I mean, it just is. But you might set that up for next year, So you can take your required minimum distribution this year and not be required next year if you roll them all into the record keeper where you're currently working. Does that make sense? So,
Yeah, with all those tools for pre-planning.
yeah. I think that's one of the challenges of being a financial advisor is, okay, we know what you want to do. All right, how are we going to get that done?
Because technically they should have been reaching out to that advisor a couple months ago.
6 months ago, exactly. And you didn't have this issue. So.
Right, exactly. So, but we don't want you to be, panicked on the other side of it. So you still have time to do what you need to do.
Exactly. In many situations, you still have time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more comments?
No, I think that was pretty adequate. And so, guys, just take heed. Just, you still have time.
You still got a minute. One thing I do want to say, I talk about the old days. A little trick, if you happen to be an employer and you want to set up a 401k plan, and let's say you're about to pay your taxes and you want to reduce the amount that you're going to pay. So you're talking with your CPA, and let's say this is April 12th, right? And you finally decide, oh, yeah, I can set up a 401k in the next 2 days and make a contribution to that and call it for, no, that's not going to, don't do that to yourself. But one of the things that we used to do back in the day is when we got to that 12th month and folks decided, oh, I do have some money left over. I do have some money to make a required minimum. I'm sorry. I do have some money to make a to put away for retirement. I am going to have to pay quite a bit of money in taxes. I do want to reduce my tax liability, but I don't have enough time to set up a 401k. Does that make sense? We don't have enough time to set up a 401k. We just figured out, yeah, we're going to have an extreme tax liability. What can we do? Well, if you're a owner only person, and you're getting down to the point where your advisor is saying, all right, you don't have time to set up a 401k. I mean, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to do that. And we're at the end, you can't get that done. I would say consider setting up a SEP IRA. right, at your local bank. And even if you have employees, and this is where things get tricky, so I'm going to, give the trade secret away. This is where things get tricky. You could set up a SEP IRA and make sure you can identify with a third-party administrator where all the money is supposed to go, right? So you're probably going to have to get a census. You're probably going to do a whole bunch of stuff. And find someone you can work with that can work this out with you. But one possible holding vehicle until you can get your 401k set up, until you can get your official 401k profit sharing plan set up, one possible holding vehicle could be a SEP IRA. And that's, you walk down to the bank and fill out the paperwork, boom, you set that up. Put the money in, it's there for the previous year. You get that tax break, start the process of developing your 401k / profit sharing plan for the next year. That happens, that gets developed. Roll those assets out of your SEP IRA into that 401k profit sharing plan, and we're off and running. So that's the tip of how to get yourself out of a bad situation if you truly wait too long. Hopefully you don't have to do that, because hopefully now you're going to figure out, I have until March 15th / April 15th / October 15th, September 15th rather, for the 2023 year. I can make my plan up until I actually file my taxes. So I got time now. Now you have time.
Right.
So we'll probably bring that up again, but just so folks know, okay, if I'm thinking I need to put together a 401k plan, but I'm not sure how much I can put in it, and they're hemming and they're hawing, and I don't know if I've got enough time. If you run out of time, we still might be able to maneuver. So
okay,
we'll let folks know that kind of thing. And that's all I had to talk about with folks. So did you have a comment?
No, I think this is great. Again, because it's about coming to the end of our year. We really only have 3 more weeks, to be quite honest, in the month of December, because that last week is Christmas, and then on into the new year. So you don't have as much time as you think.
Rich by now.
Well, you are. You're rich in spirit.
Oh yes, thank you, Crystal. Thank you very much.
Now you got to work on the monetary part of that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't know.
Monetize that spirit, dude. Monetize that spirit.
There you go. Yes. I can see myself going down to buy my new car. I don't have any money, but I do have spirit.
I am rich in spirit.
Rich in spirit. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're like, yeah, right, dude. Get out of this. Get out of the dealership. Come back when you got cash.
Indeed. All right. So how about if I read your bio and we close this out? Sound good?
All right. Sounds fantastic.
Okay. So hello, everybody. You have been listening to Crystal and Jevon on the patio. I'm just going to read Crystal's bio, and then we're gonna say goodbye. So please help me say thank you to my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. She is a business consultant. She's a CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, a co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Before we go, I just got to say, and I know I've said it before, I love the idea of me being able to read that whole QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist without messing that up. I think it took me 6 weeks to do that. By the way, this is Jevon Thomas. I am a retirement plan advisor, and am just happy to be able to do this with my friend Crystal. So Crystal, take it away, ma'am.
All righty. So again, guys, it's all about planning, being ready, being able to make educated choices, and those choices are because you have the information to work with. So just know that this year is closing out, and we're going into another beautiful 2024. So we got to be ready for it. We got to really be ready for 2024, man, because it's coming with some I don't know, some big fireworks. So, we can't be lackadaisical in our decision making. That's all I'm gonna say.
You are spot on there. Spot on.
All righty. So we look forward to everyone next week.
Okay, sounds good. Y'all take care, and I will see you next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.